Welcome back to another Token Punch Lunch. I've got some great segments lined up for you today. There are some people missing, some segment contributors missing because, well, life happens, you know, and sometimes you just can't make that deadline. But that's no problem. We've got a lot of great segments lined up for you, and I think you're going to enjoy every single one of them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get back to it. Let's go.
Hey everybody, it's Jay, and can we please talk about some Flair? On 15 Pieces of Flair, I'm going to show you all some ways to spruce up that game room. Now the other day, I was walking through Walmart's clearance section, because I'm kind of cheap, and I always check their clearance anyways, and I found these tray things. Ironically enough, they're marked as tabletop decor, but they're like a tray. They have a plastic liner in the bottom, and on the back you'll see some screws will pop out, and then this cactus thing will come out. I thought it was a perfect use for those old expansion boxes and stuff, a lot of them that Will Andrews sent me. So I made myself a new dice tray for my D&D games, and let's check it out. For this project, you're going to need your tray, a screwdriver, white and Italian olive spray paint, an insert or a box, an X-Acto knife. You might need a straight edge, but I actually didn't end up using it, and masking tape. So to start, go ahead and take out all the screws in the back on all the tabs, but leave the hanger on. You might want to put the screws and tabs into a container so you don't lose them. Then remove the plastic and the cactus backing. Hang the tray by some string in a well-ventilated area and spray just the outside with the green and let that dry completely. While that is drying, you can use the plastic as a guide to cut out your box to make the decorative backing. Always use the utmost caution when cutting with a precision blade. Once the tray is dry, you can use the masking tape to mask off the outside edge. Then you can paint the interior white and let that dry totally. Once that's dry, you can remove the masking tape and hanger. Then insert the plastic and cardboard cutout. If the cardboard used is especially thin, you can still add the cactus back on for extra support. This cardboard I used was thick enough so that was not needed. Then you can reinstall the tabs to hold everything back in place. I purposely left the hanger off to make it more stable. Now you can keep on rocking and rolling dice. Thanks for the cool catchphrase, Tim. Boom, there you have it. A really quick and really easy way to add some flair to your game room. Now I believe this one up here on the wall looks a little bit cheesy. It might look a lot better with like a collection of them, maybe like 6 or so. And you know what? These things were 75 cents for me at my Walmart on clearance. And I'm not gonna lie, I picked up like 12 of them. My wife stole some of them though, she's like that. But if you guys have any suggestions on games or ideas you'd like me to make into some flair, leave them in the comments below or catch me on social media. Don't forget everybody, 15 pieces of flair is the bare minimum. Some people choose to do more, and I certainly encourage that. Have fun everybody.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Rook and Record, where we pick the absolute most subjective yet perfect soundtracks for yours and my favorite board games. And today, I hope you're thirsty because we're taking a trip to the Forbidden Desert. Forbidden Desert is an incredibly oppressive cooperative game where each turn the very elements continue to wear you down. If the cascading dunes don't get you, the heat and thirst will. This game is a test of will, a sojourn, a desperate exploration as you navigate the tiles through sandstorms and an ever-changing landscape to find tools, shelter, and hopefully the parts to a legendary flying machine that will provide you and your companions a means to escape. In spite of its cooperative nature, the game creates a feeling of lonely inevitability, but still it encourages, even begs you to take risks, because hiding in supposed safety will only ensure your demise. What makes this game so cool is that for as difficult and isolating as it is, it's also empowering too. You know that everything that you need is hiding just beneath the surface of the sand. If you just stay resilient, you work together, that you will be able to make it out of the desert with your companions alive. And that kind of juxtaposition of survival and desperation and empowerment yet struggle reminds me of the 2015 Los Lobos release, Gates of Gold. Formed 1973 in East LA, Los Lobos has a long history of combining and subverting genres, mixing blues with traditional Mexican folk music, punk, hard rock, boleros, and jazz. But whether it's raucous bangers on Good Morning Aslan or artistic ballads on Kiko, at its core, their best music has always centered around loneliness, longing, and a belief in salvation through companionship, and that has never been captured with the maturity and retrospection as their most recent album, Gates of Gold. Mixing themes of defiance and resignation centered on hopes long held that might never come true, David Hidalgo's husky voice is both a call to action and lullaby, with excellent songwriting and musicianship that feels exotic and familiar, old and new. So, the next time you find yourself trudging through the desert, looking to amplify the seemingly contradictory feelings of loneliness and collaboration, something that feels the oppressive weight of all the elements falling down upon you, but demands that you never give in, I promise you, you're going to be hard-pressed to find something better than Los Lobos' Gates of Gold. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald. Alright everyone, we got a bunch more of these as well as all kinds of other stuff on our website and video channel. We're the Cardboard Herald. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, the more that we do of these, the less bad music you will have to suffer at the table.
It's Roy Candy from Vic Gaming Night, and this is Why It's There, where I take a look at a game in my collection and look why it stayed around on my shelves. Today I'm going to be going into fantasy in a crazy far-off world with lots of betrayal, and today we're going to be talking about the Game of Thrones board game. Game of Thrones board game is a crazy game with all sorts of negotiation and betrayal, and it's super exciting. The main thing that makes this game crazy is the fact that you're setting out these order markers all over the board, and you never quite know what your opponent is going to do, sort of like diplomacy-ish, where it's like, hey man, I'm not going to attack you here, but then you're putting out the tokens and you're putting up everything, and then everybody reveals all of their tokens. It's like, dude, I thought you said you weren't going to attack me there, so I supported there so that way I could get more resources, but then you stabbed me in the back and attacked me anyway. There's all sorts of like backstabbing and betrayal that can happen in this game, and there's lots of bidding back and forth to get the Iron Throne or the fiefdom so you get extra points in combat, or to get the whole thing so you can like check out the different tokens or switch those tokens out, or work with the wall and everything like that. You're also all like bidding to try to fight off the raiders, and if you don't bid high enough, there could be negative rewards and things like that. A very thematic game. I'm super excited that they finally announced an expansion for this game that's going to add in the Targaryens and things like that. So I'm really excited to get this game back to the table even more when that expansion comes out. But regardless, I've had a blast playing this with my friends. And it's always one of those games where it's like the combat's very deterministic and it's based off these house cards, and it's got all the characters from the show and the books that you love, and it's just super interesting playing through the Game of Thrones game. There's always been moments of like where it's like, oh man, let's not fight on this border, let's work together to take this person out, and there's always those moments where like one person's obviously winning and you just have to gang up together to stop them from becoming like the Lord of Westeros. It's tons of fun, super thematic, and definitely an awesome game that has stuck around and stood the test of time, and that's Game of Thrones the board game, and that's why it stayed on my shelf.
Hey, welcome to Token Punch Lunch. My name is Bobby, and this is these Totally Geeky Games, where I make recommendations of games for those geeky friends of ours with interests outside of our hobby. Our hobby being tabletop board and card games, and the interest this week being steampunk. So all the games that I recommend this week take with a grain of salt that I'm not very immersed in the steampunk aesthetic or the steampunk culture. I find some steampunk art pretty cool, but that's about the extent of my knowledge. But I do have some gateway level games that I would recommend to somebody that was interested in the steampunk kind of aesthetic and the steampunk culture. The first game that I would recommend, and this is very heavy on the gateway level criteria, maybe not as much on the steampunk theme, although it does feature some pretty steampunk art, and that is Celestia. Celestia is a simple push your luck game wherein you trust the captain of the ship, the pilot piloting it, to have the cards they need to be able to get past the hurdle and to glide the ship into safety into the next city, where you could hopefully push your luck and push your luck and push your luck and keep going until you get the biggest treasure card you could find before the ship crashes and burns. That was Celestia. It's a really fun game. It's a really light gateway level, family level game. The second game that I would recommend, this is actually a trilogy of games. I personally have seen steampunk kind of utilized to represent kind of alternate versions or variant versions of like a Victorian England setting or maybe like an American Wild West setting. I personally haven't seen this that much, and that is steampunk in ancient Korea. And I'm talking about Chosun, Kosu, and Koryo. Now I'm pronouncing them in their Korean pronunciations because those are steampunk versions. At least the world is set in a steampunk alternate version of ancient Korean dynasties that actually existed. And all of these are hand management, kind of tableau management card games. All of them are really fun. All of them are pretty simple to teach and fun to play. And that's Chosun, Koryo, and Kosu. The third game that I would recommend is a steampunk sci-fi game. It's a role selection game similar to Citadel's or Lost Temple, and that is Mission Red Planet. Mission Red Planet gets talked about a lot on Dice Tower, but like I said, it's a simple role selection game. I think it can work on a gateway level. I've used it in a gateway level to introduce some of my non-gaming friends to gaming, and they've really enjoyed it. And it's basically where you select a role and get a bunch of little cubes on a rocket ship and blast off into Mars, and it's basically turns into an area control game set on Mars, where you kind of hide some little secrets and surprises for the other players as well. So that's Mission Red Planet. So those are some games that I would recommend if I encountered somebody that was really into the steampunk culture. I know there are a lot of other games out there that are heavily steeped in steampunk culture and steampunk art and the steampunk aesthetic. But because I'm not as immersed in steampunk culture, maybe I'm not aware of it. So let me know in the recommendations what games you would recommend if you were encountering somebody that was really into steampunk, or if you yourself are really into the steampunk culture. Let me know what games you like. Anyway, my name is Bobby, and this has been these Totally Geeky Games on Token Punch Lunch. Bye.
Hey everyone, this is Tim Jennette the Metal Meeple, and this is the Budget Board Game Breakdown. So a card game that my group likes to bring up all the time is a small card game called Nevermore. And if you've never heard of Nevermore, you're in for a treat. This is one of those games that you sit down, you play a couple of times in a row, or at least we do, and it's just so much fun. There's an expansion to it, which I'm not going to show. It's called Spectres of Nevermore, which gives it like unique powers and stuff. But this is a card drafting game in which you're trying to draft certain suits, and then whoever's like in first place with that suit will get the reward equal to the minus the second player. So let me show you how it works. That's kind of confusing. Basically, the game's going to come with a few decks here. We have some Shadow Magic, some Light Magic, and this deck of Nevermore cards. And there are 5 suits. The tokens are laid out right here, and these are on a specific order at the very start of the game. Otherwise, you're going to shuffle them and not know the order they'll play out, but they're always all going to be played out. Anyway, each player is going to receive 5 cards. And you're going to look at these, you're going to choose 3 of these to pass to the player to your left. Then you're going to receive 3 new cards from the player to your right. You're going to choose 2 of these to pass. You'll get 2 more, and now you're going to choose 1 to pass. And so you're going to end up with 5 cards. I don't know how I ended up with 4, but let's just say this is what we had. All right, so you're going to have 5 cards, and then we're going to go through each one of these, starting with the Conspiracy of Ravens, this token, we're going to skip this for the explanation first. We're going to start here. Basically, everybody's going to choose what they want to reveal, or to put out face down and then reveal. The players who, can bluff, but they would take those cards back. Anyway, we would play the swords, and it would be the amount of swords, whoever played the most, so say I did, minus whoever played the second most. So in this case, player 2 played 1, meaning that it would cancel out one of mine. So whoever played the most is going to do like the difference in swords and resolve it. In this case, you're simply going to do 2 damage to a player. Everybody has 5 life. And if you take damage, you obviously just remove cubes. And then you're trying to collect these gold cubes, which are victory points. First player to 6 will win. The second type of thing that can happen is hearts. Hearts, basically, whoever has the most minus the second most will get to heal that much damage. The radiance will be able to, same thing, whoever has the most minus the second most will be able to draw light magic cards. These are basically little special powers that you can play. Sometimes they are cards that you can add to your hand to actually get more of that suit. And then finally you have the cup, which will basically give you victory points. Whoever has the most minus the second most. And tied players do get the benefit of both. And I'm not going to go over it, but each suit has a special power where if you play a lot of that suit, 4 or 5 cards, and no one else does, then you get a bonus. Like, for instance, the sword will allow you to hit everyone. Now, before we talk too much, this Conspiracy of Ravens, basically these Raven cards are bad. If you have them, you must play them with other cards to basically nullify them, unless you have a bunch of them, because the more you have, you're going to end up with some of them at the end of the round, and that's going to allow you to draw these shadow magic cards. And these shadow magic cards are super powerful cards, more so than the light cards. But if you have 5 ravens, it'll allow you to basically hit everyone, and then you completely pass up all the other suits, and so you can kind of just stop it ahead of time and get a benefit. So I don't have a lot of time to talk about all the rules. More so, basically, if you kill another player, they become a raven. There's certain things that you can and cannot do as a raven, and basically they're trying to just kill you. So the game has elimination, sort of. There is a way you can win as a raven, but you're basically just trying to kill each other or trying to get 6 victory points, and it's a super fun game. I really like it. What's really fun about it is that drafting is just super unique, because you're passing 3, then 2, then 1, and then somebody's always going to pass you a raven at the end, but sometimes maybe not, and that gives you some cool stuff, and maybe you want that one raven because it's going to be your 5th. So anyway, I highly recommend this one. If you've never checked it out, I believe other members on the Dice Tower have done reviews, so check that out. And if you have any questions about it, or if you've played it, let me know what you think in the comments below. Check out me on social media, email me at the stuff below, and until next time, keep on rocking and rolling dice.
Hi, welcome to Boardgame Opinions. My name is Jonathan Hicks.
I'm Steve Rain. And I'm Mark Winton.
And this is our golden oldie. It's Agricola, or I think everyone else calls it Agricola, but I can't get out of Agricola. Essentially, it's a heavy euro, and it's one of the original worker placement games. It's still very popular amongst other friends of ours. We still see this getting played plenty. Essentially, you have 2 family members, and they're like workers, and you can put them on this huge board of lots of different worker placement spots, generally trying to get resources and use those resources to develop your farm. So for example, I could go here and you get the wood, and then some of the spaces will, for example, if I went here, let you plough a field, and then if you have any vegetables or grain, you can then plant them in the field, and over time they kind of produce more, so you can get things like that. You can also put workers on spaces to get animals like sheep, but they will run around and run off if you don't put fences in. So first you've got to go somewhere, like this is the spot for putting fences in. You have to pay wood to get your fences, so you can put your fences in an area, and then you can go somewhere and you get your sheep, and you put your sheep in. And each round, these different cards, you flip over a new one each round, gives you a new possible action. So the number of actions keeps increasing, which is quite interesting. This is the family growth action, so when you go here with 1 worker, you produce another worker, and then you've got more workers to do stuff with. There are an awful lot of options here. There are various cards you can play to sort of power up what you're doing or give you special abilities. In the advanced game, you sort of have a hand of cards you can choose from, so there's that comes into play as well.
But essentially, at the end of each round, or every couple of rounds, you have to feed your people. So you can eat the animals potentially, you can use the fireplace to convert them into food, but that's quite a critical thing. You need to really think about how you're going to feed your people as you go through the game. You might do it through the crops, you might do it through the animals, or a bit of both. And at the end of the game, you basically get points for everything. So you get points for every field you manage to plough, for every animal you manage to get. You get points for your house. You can add extra rooms to your house, or possibly upgrade them into a better, like a clay house rather than a wood house. So you're expanding, trying to fill it. You lose a point for every empty space on your board, so you really want to fill your board. And you're really trying to do a lot of different things. It's quite a difficult game to balance. It's easy to do badly if you're not careful, which is why I think experienced players do really enjoy this when it does take a lot of strategy. What do we think?
Well, why you say point salad, you get points for everything. It's definitely not a point salad because you lose points for not doing certain things. If you don't have any grain, well, you lose points for doing that. If you don't have any sheep or any wild boar or anything like that, you lose points. So it isn't just about doing a lot of one thing to get loads and loads of points. It's about you've kind of got to do a bit of everything. Yeah. And that becomes really hard because these spots, the good ones, just don't last very long.
Yeah, agreed. I can remember playing this in my early days of gaming. First time I played this on the iPad, and it's a strange one because they initially went, "Why would I want to play a game about farming? It sounds rubbish." And the first time you play it, go, "No, this," you can see the quality straight away. It was just the whole feeling of the tightness and stuff. I love the fact that the cards vary and you play different sets. I think that's one of its big strengths against Caverna. It's like newer thing is the fact there's probably more variation this than Caverna. Caverna doesn't change between game to game.
Which is interesting because Caverna has a lot of stuff, doesn't it? But it's the variability with all the different card decks that you can introduce.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think it kept it lasting longer.
Yeah. There's so many different cards and it makes it so complicated. So adding just having a handful of 7 occupations and 7 minor improvements to do with all the base game stuff as well. That the base game itself is really tight. They just give you so much more scope to do things with.
I think one small thing to that, perfectly true. I just noticed the subtext. I've never seen the 17th century game. Not an easy time for farming, and that says this game entirely.
It's very tight.
Yeah.
It's nice though because there's the family variant, so you don't have to use the sort of advanced card. You can just play with a basic set of actions. So I have played this with my family, so it's nice that it'll bridge that gap between sort of intro gamers, if you like, and the heavyweight gamers. One other thing I really like about it actually is that sense of building something. At the end of the game, it's like, oh, I built this. Even if you didn't do very well, you're still like, yeah, great, I did it. All right, thanks very much for watching. That was our golden oldie, Agricola.
Hi everyone, welcome back to a Fellowship of Meeples. Well, I'm Doug from Doug and Doug Gaming, and this is the show that talks about the gaming group and more importantly the people that make up those gaming groups. And today I want to talk to you about what a group really is. A group is kind of a community. And a community is a group of people. You know what? Let's find out what the dictionary says about this. So, looking at the word community, it has a couple of definitions, but the second one I think really applies to us, and that is a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. Well, we share a common interest, and that of course is board gaming. So we definitely qualify as a community. Now, if we're going to be part of this community, it is important that we communicate. We need to exchange ideas, exchange thoughts, talk to one another, give each other encouragement and ideas and even criticisms. So we communicate to you guys by making our YouTube videos, but you can also communicate to us by putting your comments down below. In fact, I know that I always love to see the comments about the segments that I produce, and I'm sure the other contributors do as well. So I thought today might be fun if we took a look at some of the comments. So let me pull up the YouTube page and check some of these out. All right, let's take a look at some of these comments. Let's see. Well, okay, this one's not about me, but it says, "To Almost a Gamer, nice segment. Hey, Almost a Gamer's our newcomer, and congratulations, you got a great comment there. It was a nice segment." Let's take a look at some more of these. And this one, let's see. Well, the next one's also about Almost a Gamer. It says, "I agree, the Almost a Gamer segment was very good." Yeah, man, 2 comments already. That's great. Another comment. Well, okay. Almost a Gamer was great. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Almost a Gamer. That's way too close to home. Laugh out loud. Good stuff. Almost a Gamer was pretty cool. Wow. Let's see if we can find something about Fellowship of Meeples. OMG. LOLing at Almost a Gamer. Okay, okay, Almost a Gamer. I saw this and had to show it to my wife, and she loved it. Really popular, even though you haven't been here as long as I have. Totally related to Almost a Gamer. Okay, Almost a Gamer segment was the best. Wow. Okay, seriously, I looked at the comments a little earlier, so I knew Almost a Gamer got a few. But I did get a couple, and I got one that I really liked, and it says this. It says, Doug. That's me. Doug, you're the Dice Tower's Mr. Rogers. Keep it up. You know, I really take that as a compliment. Mr. Rogers was all about community, and well, frankly, I am too. I love the gaming community, I love people, and I love meeting new people. I love hanging out with the old friends that we have. So being a part of this community is great. Being compared to Mr. Rogers is a huge compliment. I'll take that any day of the week. But I do want to encourage you guys to be a part of this community, even right here on YouTube. You can communicate with us, leave your comments, leave your responses, questions, whatever you got. Go ahead and put them down below. We love to hear from you, and I feel pretty confident that I speak for the other contributors that they love to hear from you as well. So go on down there, leave us a nice comment, and that's just one way that we can be a bigger part of this community. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode of A Fellowship of Meeples. We'll see you next time on Token Punch Lunch. Goodbye, neighbor.
Hey, hello there, I'm Melo, and this is Boards Beyond the Boards, a segment where we talk about games that are language independent or have very little language independence. And one of my favorite games that came out last year is Mintworks, this tiny game with big punch that it's a work replacement kind of a game. But this year they came with something that was actually, for me, even better. This is Mint Delivery. It's a pick-up and delivery game and plays 1 to 5 players on this little box. Let me show you how it works. So Mint Delivery is a pick-up and delivery game. The setup is very simple. You will set up the map the way showing on the board. You're gonna make 4 piles with 7 cards for each pile, and then you're gonna open 2 for each town. Before that happens, you're gonna hand 3 different orders to each players. They're gonna turn around secretly and look at them, and they can keep as many as they want as long as they don't go over 6 points. So in this case here, I could not keep all 3 cards. I could either keep those 2 or those 2 here, and I would discard the other one. So let's say I decide to keep up that. Once the game is set up and we're ready to go, you handle the first player mint in there. So all the players will turn over their particular order, their private order there, and then the game will start. So during the game, you can take 2 possible actions of the available actions. So what the actions are, you can move. Let's say I could move over here. And you notice that in this game, all the cities are on the 4 corners of the map, and then you have warehouses surrounding the Mintopia. So let's say I use one of my actions to move here, and then I could use a second action to either taking 2 mints on my truck, 2 white mints on my truck, or I could do an upgrade. I could trade 2 white mints for a green mint. So I would just move those out and take a green mint in here. Another action that you can take, like let's say if I come to town, I could either delivery, which delivery is actually a free action that doesn't count towards your 2 actions. So as long as I have enough for that town, let's say if I was able to get to Spearmint Springs, I wouldn't be able to deliver that or that. But if I was in Freshness Falls, oh look at that, I can deliver that. So I would have 1 green and 1 white and I would be able to deliver that. Another action that I can take on the city location is I could collect a new order from the town where I am. So let's say I'm in Freshness Fall, I could collect either that or that. Let's say I'll collect this one here, and I will add it to my truck. And we keep doing this round and round until either 2 of those have no more orders, or 4 of the order piles are empty. So again, on your turn, you can move, you can collect more mints, you can trade mints, or for a free action, you can deliver your orders at the city location. Justin Blask did an amazing work with this game. I mean, literally those games you can put on your pocket and you don't have to have a cargo pants for it. You have a lot of game in this small team case here. You can play this anywhere. You can kind of put all the cards together and play this on a smaller footprint yet, in a cafe or anywhere you are. I'm almost inclined to say this is a must-have on your collection if you like any of the styles of the games. Excellent game. Should get it. Mint delivery from 524 Labs. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget, keep punching those tokens. See you guys next time.
Almost a gamer. I knew when I married my husband that he was a hardcore gamer, and I knew that I was marrying into a hardcore gaming family because of the game Pinochle. Everybody plays this game in his family.
When I started dating my husband, it was one of the first things that he and his mom and dad taught me.
If you've never played Pinochle, it's a pretty old school game. Here's a crash course into the game.
Four-handed Pinochle is a team-based trick-taking game played with a 48-card deck. The lowest number in the deck is a 9, and there are 2 of each card in the deck. After everyone has counted their meld in secret, which is a certain combination of cards, the person to the left of the dealer will start bidding. You may pass or bid as high as you like, but there's a minimum bid of 21. If the dealer gets stuck with it, meaning no one else bid, then they may have it for 20 points instead. Whoever wins the bid gets to determine which suit will be trump. After everyone reveals their meld by putting it down on the table, you calculate it and add it for each of the teams, and then those cards will be put back into your hand. Then whoever won the bid starts the actual trick-taking part of the hand. You will lay down a card. Everyone else is required to play the same suit. They must beat it if they are able to. If they do not have the same suit, then they must play trump, and they must beat it if possible. And if someone else plays a trump and you have to play trump but you can't beat that trump, you still must play trump. If you don't have the original suit and you don't have trump, then you may play any card from your hand that you like. At the end, after everyone's done this 12 times, then you count up all the points that everyone has taken. The points are aces, tens, and kings. You add that to the meld that you received at the beginning of the hand, and if you were the team that made a bid, then you have to determine whether that added score is equals your bid or is higher than your bid. If it does not, then you subtract your bid in its entirety from your total score. After this, you start a new hand, and this keeps going until someone reaches 120 points.
Pinochle was a totally new level of gaming for me. I didn't know what tricks were. I was new to meld, and I had never played a game that involved counting cards. And by the way, I still don't do that. No. They were really patient, because I was really bad at making bids. I didn't know what I was doing, and I broke the rules like all the time. At the time, I kind of thought of it as a romantic gesture, like they liked me so much, they wanted to share their family tradition with me, and they were excited for me to become part of their family. Well, that may have been some of it, but I think ultimately they just wanted Pinochle people.
So of course, when their son brought this girl home, that's a 4th player for four-handed Pinochle. She's got to learn this game pronto. You need people that know the rules and the strategy and the table talk. Pinochle people, they're hard to come by. So when you find some or have an opportunity to invest in someone to teach them to play with you, you're gonna take that opportunity. Recently I found out my mother's mother used to play Pinochle with their friends. And there was some bully that used to give her a hard time. When she would play a trick wrong, he would get on her case and she gave it up. She never taught her daughter how to play or her grandchildren because he ruined the game for her. So let that be a lesson to anyone out there who wants to give someone a hard time when playing Pinochle. Don't be a bully, because you're going to ruin it for future generations.
It's just so much fun. The more you play it, the better it gets, especially when you're playing with a core group of people and you can just go back to them again and again and pick up where you left off, and it just has this really great competitive feeling, and it doesn't get old. I'm so excited to teach my boys how to play Pinochle, and God willing, if they bring some nice girls home, we're going to be teaching them Pinochle too. So I'm curious, for all those almost gamers out there, or fanatical gamers, does anyone play Pinochle anymore? Or is there another old school game that is part of the family that everyone kind of plays? I'd love to hear your comments, and thanks again for watching.
Hey everybody, Even Steven here. Today I have 5 crafts and accessories that I've been using for board games recently with my group and my games. I'm going to show you how great they are. Let's get to it. The first accessory that I've been using a lot is bit bowls. These are from Boardgame Geek. What's nice about these is they store components for games when you're playing them on the table. So they're nice because they fold flat and they're made of this like silicone material, so you can like toss them into your bag when you're packing games to a friend's house, and they fold and can really be stored easily flat like this. But then when you game, you just snap these things together, and then they form a nice little compartment that is easy to use. You can wash them if they get dirty. So these have been great to hold our components, and they're very cheap. They're on the Boardgame Geek store, so check these out. The next thing we're going to look at is bit boxes. These are great little plastic containers that you can store game pieces in, and I keep them in the box itself. So for example, with Pulsar 2849, we have all the players' components here, and they're stored very nicely with the lid that's sealed very tight. And they're great because they stack within the box themselves very easily, and it makes teardown and setup a lot easier for these complex games, which makes them get to the table more often. So we've used these a lot. Again, they're purchasable online, and we really like these. The next thing I've been using a lot is these board game bands. They are also purchased online in a variety of places, and they're very cheap. What they do is they hold the game box very sturdy together when you're traveling. This is especially nice when you get a big game like Caverna with a lot of pieces inside, and it really keeps everything together, especially when you're traveling in your car, maybe on a plane, even wherever you're going, and make sure that everything stays in there nice and it's very secure. So I definitely recommend these. I've been using these a lot with a variety of different games. The next thing we're going to look at is an actual scoreboard. So this is made with a Cricut machine that cut out vinyl shapes that you use with the online computer program that comes with the device. And you can cut out different things, and what I did is I got a whiteboard that is magnetic, and we created a scoreboard that we use when we're playing different games instead of using the score track. What's nice about this is it's available for everyone to see easily and quickly. And if you use little Meeples that I have with magnet on them, it lets everyone be their color that they usually are in games. Because a lot of games don't have orange, for example, but I always know that I'd like to be orange. So I know a lot of times during the game, it's easy to move someone else's score piece by accident, and then you have to remember what score you were on, or to remember what color you are, because if you're not in a different game where you're not your typical color that you usually are, it's difficult to remember on the score track sometimes. So what's nice about this is everyone can see it very easily, everyone can be their own color, and if your game group is color specific, this really helps out a lot. So this is a fun craft that maybe you can try out and use with your game group. And the last craft accessory that I've been using to enhance my game room is these little dioramas that I've been making. So this one is 7 Wonders specifically. And what I did is I found a used copy of 7 Wonders really cheap at a thrift store. And what I did was I created some artwork by putting it like it is in the game with the Wonders belt and some coins and tokens and different things in it. And it makes a really cool game piece to have just putting it in a frame and putting it somewhere in your game room. It's really cool, especially if you do these with one of your favorite games. It creates a real interesting piece for people to look at and a talking point, so I thought these were cool and I thought I would highlight those as well. Okay everyone, those were 5 accessories and crafts that I've been using a lot recently with my game group. Share me in the comments below. Are there any other crafts or accessories that you've been using recently that you think are great? Let me know and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Happy lunchtime, everybody. Hope the food is good, and welcome to another episode of The Starting Tile, your source for new, different, old, whatever, gateway games to introduce your friends, family, spouses, whatever, to the hobby. Today, given that I'm from the West Country, originally in the UK, it seems fitting that at some point I should talk more about farming games. There's not a lot of farming games out there that I would consider to be gateway level. However, this two-player version, the Agricola All Creatures Big and Small, kind of fits that bill quite nicely. For a bit of background, Agricola was this huge, heavy Euro game that's been popular for ages. Loads of the heavy Euro gamers like it, but it's quite involved, it's extremely punishing, and to be honest, I've got Caverna, which kills Agricola anyway. But this is the two-player version of that game, and it is intended to be a gateway level one. It takes out all the aspects of farming vegetables and corn, it takes out all the stuff about the cards and the occupations, and leaves you with basically raising animals. You each have your titular little farm with its own building, and essentially what you are doing is that you are gathering animals and resources in order to build pastures. You want the pastures to be full of lots of different animals like sheep and cows and and horses, that sort of thing. And basically you're trying to get the most points by the end by having decent sized pastures with enough space to hold the animals, a variety of animals, and you can also build one of many special buildings that can give you points in other ways or other bonuses during the game. These special bonuses will change every game because in this version, the big box, you have 2 expansions already built in that allows you to chop and change those special buildings every game from quite a big pile. In fact, well, I'll get onto it in a bit later. So how does this work on my easy scale? Well, first, E for ease of play. It's not the easiest game to get into. It may take a brand new gamer just that little bit of extra time to get into it, mainly because they won't probably have heard of worker placement before, which is the general mechanic here, and the wealth of options of do I go get this resource? Do I go get that sheep? I don't know. Might overwhelm them at first, so just bear with them for an entry point. Maybe have a practice game first, and then they should get the hang of it. The special buildings are not particularly complex, and you only use 4 of them anyway. In fact, I wish you used more of them, to be honest, because you've got a big pile of them and you only use 4. It just seems like a restricted number. A for aesthetics. Now, aesthetics-wise, it's a decent package. I mean, this version now gives you wooden and meeples, and you've got the fences, you've got the stables in player colours, the board is nice and colourful. So aesthetics, it's generally a very pleasing and well put together game. The only annoyance is that for some stupid reason they decided to put the cows and the horses pretty much the same brown colour and near identical. So if you can get some different cow tokens further down the line, I might recommend you do that, as I might be doing the same as well. Because at the moment you might be trying to spot exactly which one is a horse and which one is a cow, and it's slightly annoying, but you'll get used to it in time, or you could find replacements. But yeah, just bear that in mind. Cows and horses, a bit too similar. S for scalability. Well, nice and quick, it doesn't scale. It's only 2 players. You're just going to have to deal with that, I'm afraid. This is a head-to-head dueling game. You cannot expand it. It will never have more than 2 players. It's just flat out 2 players. And then finally, the yawn factor, replay value. Generally, yes, you are using the same spaces and they don't really change every game, but it's just a nice, pleasant idea of building up your farm, and your farm's going to look different every game. The pastures are going to be different, the animals you take, the special buildings in particular. And that is what will constitute the replay value in this game, those special buildings, because you are never going to get the same combination of 4 buildings every time you play, because there's just too many of them. Like I say, I wish they used more than 4, but the fact that they only use 4 means that you could play this quite a fair few times before you actually use all the buildings. So there's a lot of combinations of those in the box, so it does give the game a nice sense of replay value. And because it's the big box, you know you're getting everything for this game that will ever be made in a nice, well, fairly portable package. So Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small, the big bucks. If you can't find the big box version, you can only find the other ones, then that's fine. It just means that the expansions are going to be separately packaged. Ideally though, I would pick this one up if you've got any liking of the farming theme and you just want a nice 2-player game with, like I say, a cutesy theme, just with those 1 or 2 caveats I've already mentioned. So that's it for me for another Starting Tile episode. Hope you enjoyed, hope you're enjoying your lunch. See you on the next Token Punch lunch, and for now, always remember, it's only a game. Take care, and see you next time.
So that just about wraps up another Token Punch lunch. I want to thank you guys for joining us. I certainly appreciate it, taking time out of your busy schedule to spend it with us here at TPL. I want to thank all of my segment contributors who were able to send in their segments this week. And of course, I can't wait to see what you come up with next time, because every single time it's great content. So thank you for the work that you're putting into it. Thank you guys again for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and get on out of here, and we'll see you next time on Token Punch Lunch on the flip side. Take care now.
Fatality.